Hello, I'm Suzette Field of A Curious Invitation. Welcome to the 32 Londoners podcast series. Along with Stephen Coates of Antique Beat, on May the 1st, I curated an extraordinary event on the EDF Energy London Eye. For one rotation, each of the Eye's 32 capsules was occupied by a speaker giving a talk about one of 32 significant born Londoners to a small audience. Here is DJ Nihal on the music producer Jazzie B.
Firstly, thank you so much for being interested in Jazzie B. This was very much for me a little bit like student elections. I was thinking, oh God, who's going to vote for me at this thing? And of course, you're not voting for me. You don't give a shit who I am, but you do care about Jazzie B, and that's important. Okay, so I wanted to do this in a way that represented how Jazzie B influenced me. And because before I joined Radio 1, I was an artist myself and signed various record deals, and I was a rapper. So I'm going to rhyme this whole thing. And I'm going to, don't clap yet, right? Because it might be like Jedward rapping, you know what I mean? So don't clap it until you've done it, because I kind of just thought, okay, let's just do it. Let's do it. Okay, all right. Now, Trevor Beresford Romeo, OBE, aka the brother you all know as Jazzie B. Born January 1963 at the end of Stroud Green Road in Hornsey. He was the creator of the Funky Dreads, the people that put all other sound systems to bed. He was the guy that brought black British music to the fore. He was the boy who changed all the laws, because we were young kids, brown. We didn't feel like we had a future. He was the one that did it in a way that would suit you, or indeed suit me and my boys at the time. The way he brought black British music to our minds. He did it in such a way that meant we all felt proud. We could all say that this was British music. The world around. But let's tell you a little bit more about the man himself. He was 9 of 10 kids, so I kind of worry for his mum's health. I can say back in the days, perhaps there wasn't much to do in the evenings to amaze, so his mum and dad were at it, getting jiggy. And that's why there are 10 kids, and trust me, that's a biggie. So, he may have grown up being the youngest, many people may have dissed him, but one thing that he was influenced by was his big brother and the sound system. The sound systems were so important with the jazz and the funk. He was creating music, bringing people together, but it was post-punk. He was very influenced, and you may be amazed, or maybe not, by James Brown and Isaac Hayes. The Polydor record collections that he was hearing meant when their sound system touched down, every other sound system was fearing. Jazzie B. What a dude. Giving all the brothers and sisters some soul food. The Africa Centres when they did the jams, where all of the people clued up, women and the mans. There were hundreds of people queued outside, all ready to get on that Planet Ard ride. And you know what Planet Ard is? Planet Ard was the membership card. That's where the Funky Dreads came from. That was the scene that they wanted to build. A happy face, a thumping bass for a loving race. That was the team. Building it up to be more than music, more than even a dream. Could you hope or aspire to be as big as them? Were you part of the Africa Centre? If you were, you were a friend. A man so important, and much to his elation, he even has a bench named after him at Finsbury Park Station. He was obsessed, like we were, by music made by the Yanks. As if that was the only music that existed for black people. And the Americans never said thanks. We just used to buy their vinyl, and they used to send that money to their banks. But then came Jazzie B with a sound that can only have come from this town. A sound that was so deep, it became world renowned. Now, the funky dread. I wanted to be a funky dread, but I'm Asian, I've got straight hair, and if I'd got dreads, my dad, I'd be dead. No one was loving that look in my house. I had to keep that shit as quiet as a mouse. But I so wanted to be a funky dread. And don't ever say, he's got a pineapple on his head. No, no, no. Do not diss. Because if you do not understand the funky dread, there's a point that you're missing. I bring you back to a happy face, a thumping bass for a loving race. That was the key. Bringing us all together to join in the world of Jazzie B. Keep on moving. Keep on grooving. A track that was so good, couldn't be improved on. Do you know they've sold millions of discs? They did it their own way, they took risks. And at a time when a band was a band, Jazzie B and Soul to Soul were a brand. They thought about how you could be bigger than the music. You could go into one of their stores, see a t-shirt and choose it. You could be a logo, like Pepsi or Coke. But not as horrible as that. When he spoke. They say never meet your heroes. I met Jazzie B when I was a 0. We were at Radio London 94.9. I was on there, won a competition to rhyme. I saw him in a corner, I saw him by a desk. There's Jazzie B. I was a mess. Pen, paper, paper, pen. I turned to my brother, Colt 45, my friend. There's Jazzie B, bruv. What can I say? I can go up to him, but he may just slay. Don't meet your heroes, because they might diss you. So should I stay back? Should I not try and approach? Should I not get in his space? Should I not try and encroach? But damn, the guy was nice and humble. He'd made so many moves. Somewhere along the way, his ego must have crumbled. Because he sat and he talked and he gave us advice. Damn, I almost wanted him to be a dick, but he wasn't. He was nice. This is a guy, and I'm not trying to sound hammy, who had taken black British music to America and won 2 Grammys. Do you have any idea how big a deal that is? In many ways, British music to this day still misses that kind of success. He was the best. Club classics. Who does that? Who calls your album club classics unless you know how good you are? Unless you know that you belong in the sky with the stars? Club classics. Now that's a statement right there. And it fulfilled what people wanted from it. That's why the others could only stand and stare. Back to life. Back to reality. YouTube views, 6.2 million and counting. He gets PRS from that, but I'm not his accountant. Now, Jazzie B opened the doors. No Tiny, no Dizzy, no Colosseum floors. Black British music would never be the same after Jazzie B and Soul to Soul made their name. So now, the Tinies and the Wretches may say it was down to So Solid Crew, the MCs that open the doors, and that's how they do. And you know what? There's an element of truth in that, because So Solid Crew did something for rap. So don't be dissing them. They were good MCs, driving around South London in Audi TTs. But anyway, back to what he did. I think he gave young, black, Asian, white Londoners a sense that they could belong. That they could go into a studio, they could write a song, they could get with a producer, they could make a beat. And then that beat could be heard on New York streets, in LA streets. that really hadn't been done to the extent that he did it. That's why, for me, Jazzie B is legit. The most legitimate man I can think of. The most legitimate guy I wanted to be. Soul to soul, funky dread, Jazzie B. His influence to this day is so important to all. Because when we think about his music, we hear a call that says that a man that grows up, 9 of 10 kids, can make music that changes the world. Before there were YouTube vids, before there was Instagram, before there was Twitter, he's still on that stuff. He's still making moves, and that's why he's not bitter. So if you were at the African Centre back in the days, or if you just came across it in a new kind of way, you cannot help but be moved by the groove from the funky dreads. A happy face, a thumping bass for a loving race. Now you were there at the Africa Centre. You queued up. It took you hours to enter. They closed off the windows, you couldn't see in. It was sweaty as sin. There were 600 people. They told one shift to leave so you could get in, so you couldn't breathe. Those days, history. For people now, perhaps it may seem like a mystery how this scene created and brought us all together, just like in this pod. All different colours, with shitty weather. And you know what? Jazzie B the man. Only one thing bad about him. He's an Arsenal fan. I just wanted to tell you how Jazzie B made me feel. It made me proud. As a brown boy trying to make it in music, to do my own sound, to realise a dream and an aspiration, to see a guy, a funky dread, and him to be an inspiration, to realise that you have to do all of this with so much perspiration and work hard and be devout to your sound as the speakers blast it out. So you know what? Thank you so much for listening. If you want to ask some questions or just look out at London lights glistening, that's cool with me. Thank you for listening to my talk about Jazzie B.
Thanks for listening. 32 Londoners was sponsored by Hendrick's Gin, who created 32 unique cocktails, one for each capsule and one for each London borough. To hear more talks and for more information on 32 Londoners, go to 32londoners.com. Or, for more information on Antique Beat and A Curious Invitation and the other events we create, go to www.antiquebeat.co.uk or acuriousinvitation.com.